might be an aspect for you to consider. And then talking about, okay, what's important? What is really important? What is important in this room today? What is important?
Well, now.
Where is now?
Right now.
It's gone.
Yeah.
As you were speaking, it's
yeah,
gone.
It's gone.
So what's
now?
now?
Is the past.
So, there you go. You know, that's another concept. We've been sold the concept of now. The now isn't even there. But as we move forward, we're talking about baiting our thoughts. So, if we say memory could be a concept that we could actually put on the side. And as we have our baggage and put that bag on the side, and let's look at it from another viewpoint. We're constantly being bombarded by messages. The media, okay? You have to look a certain way. You have to have a certain type of body. You got to have a certain hair type and a certain this and a certain that if you want to fit into the mold of billboards, magazine covers, and blah, blah, blah. How does community view us if we don't fit into these certain molds? Okay? How will people think about us if we don't dress in a certain way? If we don't do things in a certain way? We're constantly being barraged by this kind of aspects that don't serve us. They're constantly telling us that we've got to be someone we're not. How many of us buy into that? How many buy into buying all the crap that's sold to us? We do. We're human. We're human. No one wants to say yes in the room, but every single one of us does it because we're human and because we're constantly being bombarded by it. So, how do you find who you are if you're constantly the product of what everyone's saying to you, what you're supposed to look like, what you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to speak, and if you're supposed to fit into some kind of mold in order to be accepted. So that takes us nowhere. Just absolutely takes us nowhere. So that brings us to the question about how do we feel enough? Because if we felt enough, we wouldn't attend workshops, we wouldn't attend seminars. We go to these places because we want to get something in order for us to fulfill something inside of us. That's a space. So how many in this room feel enough? Are you enough for you? How many feel enough in the room? You're not enough for you?
So we're all probably getting there.
Okay, so there's a question. What is enough? And so as we move through the day, we've talked about the generalities today at this stage in this little while. As we move into the day, we're going to make it interactive so that you start to figure out what your value is, what would help you to feel enough. And like I said, different people will get different aspects of it. And we are going to, this will be a little bit of what I say to Jason, it'll be a little bit of a head fuck. It'll be a mind fuck, really, because that's what it is. Seriously, that's what it is, because it's going to ask you to think from a different viewpoint. And thinking from a different viewpoint, how many like change in this room? Oh, that's great. Because that's another thing. Why would I want to think differently? Well, it may just get you to where you think you want to go. So, with that thought, I'm going to hand over to Jason.
I was so interested in what you have to say, I almost didn't want to get up. So, how many people in here think that they are needy people?
Sometimes.
Only Leah? Lawrence?
Oh, yeah, no, not in that way.
Yeah? Nobody else? Nobody else is needy? Okay, if I were to say, and this is me, you know, going down that road of being a headbutt, if I were to say that we are all mean-spirited people, What would you guys think about that? True? Yeah? Come on in.
Mean-spirited people?
Mean-spirited. Mean-spirited.
I think it's essential for everybody to have a certain self-interest.
Right?
And that's the base of what they do.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody else have anything to say about?
I don't feel very mean very often, but I do often feel very cold.
You feel very cold, but not mean.
Yeah, like
Yes.
disconnected and just like what's happening in front of me is no like a function.
Right.
Not so much real, just
Okay, that's great. Now, I'm not trying to say that we are mean people, okay? I know a lot of you in here, and I know what you are about, and I know that you're not going to go out on the street and run someone over in your car. Okay, so we're not mean-spirited people in the way that mean-spirited would be defined. But I also asked everybody if we think that we're needy. And probably one or two people said that they were. And it's quite interesting that only one or two people said that they were, because we tend to do things as human beings that displays what is reality. So we don't want to actually raise our hand and say that we're needy people, when in fact, we are needy people. Now Taz just asked everybody, do you feel enough? Do I feel enough? That's what you should be asking yourself. Do I feel enough? And she also went on to say, if we feel enough, why is it that we're continually attending these types of workshops? Why is it that we continually question where we're going in life? Yeah?
I don't know, maybe this is called masturbate your thoughts. No other workshop.
You know what? That's a good point. That's a good point. People may want to come because they hear the name and that's enough to pique their interest. That is fantastic. And we come to these types of workshops, we read the books that are shelved in libraries, and we constantly want to find resources that help us become more and more enough. Now I asked you if you're needy, because there's something that we do in our relationships with other people to feel more enough. Okay? Everybody in here should think about their roster of friends, family, anybody that you talk to, anyone that you keep in touch with, and think about why it is that you do it. So if I said to you, go down your phone book and think about the people that you actually contact in your phone book, you contact them because you need them. And what I mean by that is that everyone gets something out of a relationship. If I work with Taz, it's not disrespectful to say that I need her love, I need her ear, I need her to listen, not to actually do a Van Gogh or anything like that. I need her love, I need her ear, I need her intellect, I need all of that because that helps me to feel more enough. Now if Taz was not in my life, there would be a void. And I know some of you, I went to high school with Serena, and I keep in touch with her because I need her. For all the same reasons. Charlene, I know. And there's nothing wrong with admitting the fact that you need people. Now, I'm going through a very interesting weekend, okay? I was seeing someone for 3 years, and the relationship is over as of Friday. 3 years. Everything was done together. You split the grocery bill, you split the rent, everything. We became one. And now that's gone. And the reason why we stayed together for longer than we should have is because I needed him for the convenience. I needed him for the safety net. I needed him to feel good about myself. I needed him. I was needy, and I let that determine how we go about our relationship. And the thing is that we do that in all of our relationships. But when I ask people, are you needy? People aren't ready to say that we are. Yeah?
But I make a differentiation between being needy and needing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, people are definitely going to put their own spin on how they actually define the wording. Needy may come across as being something very negative, but, you know, I, for myself, still think that we are needy. As gross as that makes me look, and as gross as that makes me sound, and as uncomfortable as that, you know, appears based on the fact that that word comes across as being so slimy, isn't that what's happening though? Like, isn't that what's happening? Now, the example that I gave applied to a situation that I'm going through, but I'm sure if everybody took a moment to actually think about the people that are in their lives, they would probably think to some situations that say, yeah, I need that person based on what they bring into my life to make me feel more enough.
But there's also times where you are reaching out to others more than
they're reaching back out to you? Yeah.
So would that, like, how would you define, you know, you're
Well,
being needy at that point, especially if you're doing that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I'm going to go into more, because when I ask you to think about the people in your phone book, there are people in your phone book that you don't contact. And the reason why you don't contact them is because you feel you don't need them. Like, really seriously, they're just names in your phone book that are taking up memory and space. And I know that I have at least 50 people in my phone book where I'm like, why is it that I only contact maybe about 5, 6? Why is it that you go through high school and you know 300 people in your ear, and then you walk away from high school and keep in touch with 4? Do you need the other people? And that's what relationships are. If you feel like you don't need the person, you're not going to get into any sort of relationship with them.
But do you not every once in a while share a joke? You know, maybe
Absolutely.
send a mass joke.
Absolutely.
Do
Absolutely.
you not, if you heard that John Doe, something has gone wrong with John Doe,
Right.
immediately, yeah, I know you would, I know I would.
Absolutely, and I think Taz and I touched on that, and we actually said, why is it that if something happened to John Doe, we get in touch with John Doe when something happened to John Doe, as opposed to when John Doe was completely fine, healthy, and was able to see you at any given time of the day. Why is it that we're running to the hospital bed once John Doe is in the hospital bed? Right? Sorry, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, just on that note, I mean, you could even argue that you need to be there for so-and-so, so you feel better. Because if you weren't there for that person, you're like, oh my God, I'm such a bad person for not giving them any sympathy and for not caring.
And it goes back to the
You need to feel to assuage your
needs.
sort of guilt, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you're still needing something from that other person.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what this is related to is what all of you have heard many times before, and probably every other workshop you've been to, the ego. That's something innate within all of us. And that's really what it is. The fact that we're needy just relates to the ego. Now, the methodology behind how we determine who we want to bring into our lives, because you can go dance until 4 in the morning and, you know, see another... Sorry if I'm calling you to that. We're out until 4 in the morning. They're in the front row, so if you see some of that happening, you know why. So, so you can go out and there's a sea of 400 people, and you don't care to meet every single one, right? I mean, you're all in here today, but if I said to Taz, I think everyone in here is going to make an effort to meet every single person in here, we'd probably laugh. That doesn't happen. When you guys were out yesterday and having fun, did you care to meet every single person in there? No. But you do respond to who you want to meet based on the fact that they may be able to fulfill needs that you have to make you feel more enough. That's why we go out in the first place. To scope out who we want to bring into our lives. Because we need them in our lives. And the methodology behind how we do that is by impressions. Every single person gives off an impression. Every single person gives off an impression.